Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Daniel Guaba, and I'm a world languages tutor. Today, I'm going to help you get started on your journey learning Spanish. Are you ready? Let's go. Here's what we're doing today. You will be learning the alphabet and pronunciation in Spanish, common greetings, the conjugation of the verb ser, which means to be, learning how to conjugate regular AR, ER, and IR verbs in the present tense. And then we're going to analyze some sentences together to get you started speaking some real Spanish. So, for the alphabet, the letters in Spanish sound like they do in English, for the most part. The nice thing about Spanish that's different from English is that there are clear and consistent pronunciation rules. Once you learn how letters are pronounced individually, you'll be able to pronounce anything in Spanish. In English, there are a lot of different ways to spell the same sounds, but in Spanish, you'll know exactly how to say a word when you see it after watching this video. First, let's take a look at the vowels here. So we have A, I, U, E, and O, and Y. Like in English, the order might be a little bit different. In English, we usually say A, E, I, O, U, but in Spanish, we say A, I, U, E, O. So let's listen to those again. We have A as in father, E as in see, U as in food, E as in elephant, O. Now, O is a little bit different from how it sounds in English. We don't have O like we do in English. We just have the O. It's a short sound, a short, sharp sound. In English, the O is actually an O and a U combined. O, O. But in Spanish, remember, just O. You stop yourself before you even get to that U sound. So just O. Now, the Y in Spanish is going to be pretty much like it is in English. You have E as in see, or you have Y as in you. So let's take a look at the consonants that are pretty much the same in English and Spanish. B, D, F, M, N, K, S, W, X. Now, X is a little bit special because before a consonant, it might sound like an S. Just be aware of that. We have a couple consonants that sound pretty much like they do in English, but there's one important difference. K, T, and P in Spanish are unaspirated. So what this means is when you pronounce them, you don't say them with a puff of air. In English, we would say k, t, p. But in Spanish, we say ka, da, ba. It'll be a little bit hard in the beginning to hear the difference between a K and a G, a T and a D, and a P and a B, because they sound so similar. So let's go through these pairs with the English pronunciations first, then the Spanish ones, and try to see if you can tell the difference. So first the English ones. K, G, T, D, P, B. Now for the Spanish, K and G, T and D, P and B. Ga, ga, da, da, ba, ba. Something you can tell is that the G, D, and B sounds have a little bit of a vibration before your lips even part. So here is K, T, and P in Spanish again. Ga, da, ba. And then G, D, and B are going to sound like this. Ga, da, ba. So a short sound with no aspiration, KTP. A longer sound with more vibration before you're parting your lips is GDB. Make sure you practice these a lot. They'll be one group of letters that will really set you apart from other Spanish learners. Now let's take a look at C and Z. C is pronounced like a K before A, U, and O. That would be ka, ku, Now, C is pronounced like an S before I and E. So that would be si and se. A Z in Spanish is always pronounced like an S, at least in the Latin American variations. So Z is pronounced sa. All right, now we have G and J. G sounds like the English G before A, U, and O. Ga, gu, go. G sounds like an English H before I and E. He, he. Now, there is one more catch. If you have a G between two vowels, it's going to be a little bit softer than a regular G. So, for example, the word for water is agua, agua. So it's not agua, it's agua. It's a bit of a glide. It's like your tongue is melting between the two vowels. So try practicing that. Right, now J pretty much sounds like an English H all the time. So ha, he, he, ho, etc. Now we have H. The Spanish H is extremely easy to pronounce. You just don't. H's are always silent in Spanish. So why do we have them at all? Well, for historical reasons, as well as to help you pronounce words. If you have an H between two vowels, it's telling you that you need to pronounce those two vowels separately. So for example, if you have A-O, that would be pronounced ow. But if you have A-H-O, you're pronouncing them more separately, like a-o. Now we've got L and R. Luckily for you English speakers, the L's that we use in Spanish are the ones that you use in English at the start of words, like L in love. Now there's a catch. We have two kinds of L's in English that you might not be aware of. We have the L in love, and we have an L like in ball. Now listen to the difference between these two L's. All. In Spanish, we're only going to use the lighter version of the L. Now when you see two L's together in Spanish, it's going to be pronounced completely differently from an L. It's actually more like the Y in Spanish, or the Y in the English word you. So if you see L-L-A, you will say ya. R's are notorious for giving English speakers a hard time when they're trying to learn and speak Spanish. The R at the start of a word is pronounced rrr. Now, if you can't pronounce your R this way, I will make another video for you guys to help you try to learn how to pronounce. But for now, I want you to think about things that sound like rrr without thinking about it as a language sound. For example, can you purr like a cat? Brr, brr. Can you mimic the start of an engine, like a motorcycle? Try to imitate sounds that you hear in nature that sound like a rolling R, and then slowly try to incorporate it into your pronunciation in Spanish. Like I said, don't worry if you can't do it now. We're going to have a separate video just working on the rolling R later on. Now, in between letters and at the end of words, R's are not rolled in Spanish. They are tapped. What does that mean? Well, a tap is basically like a very light L. The pronunciation, the way they actually make this tap is you place your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, like if you were saying an L, but instead of rolling your tongue back, you actually keep it relatively flat. So this is what it sounds like with each vowel. Ra, ri, ru, re, ro. Now, if you speak Japanese, you'll find that this is pretty easy to pronounce for you because it is the same R sound that you see in Japanese. So again, if the R is at the start of a word, hr. If it's between letters or at the end of a word, ra. Another rule is that if you see two R's in a row in Spanish, even in the middle of a word, that's a clue to roll that R. So if you see two R's between an A and an O, for example, that would be pronounced arro, like in the word for car, which is carro. Now we've got a very special letter that is unique to Spanish. and that is the ñ. Ñ. It's not like a regular N. It's a bit like an N with a very nasal Y addition. Ñ. Ñ. I think it should be pretty easy for English speakers to pronounce. Ñ. Now, another thing is that these in Spanish are actually pronounced like B's. So if you ever see a name like Victor, it'll be pronounced Victor. So any V's, pronounce them like B's, and you'll be sounded more natural. Now, before we go on, we need to go over some special rules for the letter U. Now, when we have QUE, you're going to pronounce this que. So QU just sounds like a K. But if you have CUE, it's going to be pronounced que. So you're actually going to pronounce both the U and the E and the K sound. Que. Now, similarly with G's, if you have GUE, it's going to sound like ge. So you're going to have a hard G with an E sound, ge. To get the U to really come out with a G, we need to add an umlaut. That is these two dots that you put on top of the U to make it sound like this, gue. So if you have regular GUE, ge. If you have G umlaut E, gue. Now, the same goes for I's as well. QUI, ki. CUI, qui. GUI, gi. GU with an umlaut, I, gui. Great. So now that we've gone over all the vowels and consonants in Spanish, and you know how to pronounce them, let's take a look at some greetings. Hola. Hello. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? Estoy bien, gracias. I'm well, thanks. ¿Y tú? And you? Muy bien, gracias. Very well, thanks. Adiós. Bye. Nos vemos. See you later. Now, we have our first verb in Spanish, and that is the verb to be, which is pronounced ser. So if you are unfamiliar with verbs in Spanish, we have a different form of the verb for each person that we talk about. It's not too different from English, where to be is I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, they are. So we have a couple different forms in English. In Spanish, you'll see what these different forms are here. Now, a note, ser is an irregular verb. It will not conjugate the same way as most other verbs. That's why I want to go over it first to get it out of the way and show you that it's not as bad as you think. So we have yo soy, I am. Tú eres, you are. Él, ella, usted, es. He, she, is. Or it can also be formal, you are. Usted is the formal version of you, where tú is the casual form of you. And then es would become are if you use it with usted. So, él or ella es, he or she is. Usted es, you, polite, are. Nosotros somos, we are. Ustedes, ellos, ellas, son. Ustedes is the plural form of you. You can use it both in casual and formal settings. So, ustedes son, you all are. Ellos, ellas son, they are. Ellos is when the group includes at least one male. Ellas is when the group is only females. Now, something important about verbs in Spanish. Since we have a different form of a verb for every person that we're talking about, we don't need to include the pronoun of the person that we're referring to. Just use the verb with its correct conjugation, and we'll know exactly who you mean. So let's take a look. Soy, I am. Eres, you are. Es, he or she is. Or remember the formal, you are. Somos, we are. Son, you all are or they are. All right, now we're going to talk about conjugations of regular verbs. So in Spanish, verbs will always end with a pair of letters. It's going to end in an AR, an ER, or an IR. So let's take a look at the verb to speak, which is hablar, in the first column on the left. Yo hablo, I speak. Tú hablas, you speak. Él, ella, or usted habla. He, she speaks, or formally, you speak. Nosotros hablamos, we speak. Ustedes, ellos, ellas hablan. You all, they speak. Now we have comer in the middle column, which means to eat. Yo como, I eat. Tú comes, you eat. Él, ella, usted come. He or she eats, formally, you eat. Nosotros comemos, we eat. Ustedes, ellos, ellas comen. You all, they eat. Our last verb here is abrir, which means to open. This time I'll say them without the pronouns before them. So pay attention. Abro, I open. Abres, you open. Abre, he, she opens, or you, formal, open. Abrimos, we open. Abren, they open, or you all open. All right, now that we've learned our pronunciation, a couple greetings, ser, and the conjugation of regular verbs, let's analyze some sentences together. This is where we talk in 10. Los gatos comen pescado. Cats eat fish. Tú compras comida. You buy food. La manzana es mi fruta favorita. Apples are my favorite fruit. La niña corre con su perro. The girl runs with her dog. Nosotros trabajamos duro. We work hard. Uso la computadora en la tarde. I use the computer in the afternoon. Mis amigos son simpáticos. My friends are nice. Él mira la televisión el día entero. He watches TV all day. Tú eres inteligente. You are smart. Nosotros estudiamos español con profesor Guaba. We study Spanish with Mr. Guaba. All right, everyone. I hope you had fun in today's lesson and learned a lot. With those last 10 sentences, I want to make sure that you go back and listen to them again, not just for practicing listening, but also to take a look at the literal translations below the English translations. It will give you a clue onto how word order works in Spanish. We'll talk a bit more about that in another video. For now, thanks for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button to stay updated about when my next lesson comes out. And I hope to see you there. Adiós. Nos vemos.